Good morning and welcome to today's lesson in linear algebra. We are in Mod 7 and we are covering Lesson 2 and we are working with equations with rational numbers. And what that means with rational numbers is that we're going to be working with numbers that are fractions or decimals. So I'm going to show you a way here that you can get rid of that fraction or decimal so that you can end up with a nice number in front. So instead of it being 2.5, we can end up with 25. Or instead of 3/4, we can end up with 3x. So I will show you some different tricks that you can use so that we end up with some nice numbers having to work with. All right, so we have talked about least common multiples and greatest common factors before when you have been in math. So we're going to use some of that knowledge here. And what happens is, if you look at your denominator, so whenever you have a fraction, the first thing you want to do is look at numbers in denominator. Those are the things we don't like. We don't like that it has a fraction. And so we want to get rid of those. And so once you have focused on the numbers in the denominator, okay, so in this particular problem, we have a 10, a 2, and a 5. Okay, so now 10, 2, and 5 all go into what number? So what is their least common multiple? So if we count by 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, or if we're counting by 5, 10, 15, 20, if we count by 10, 20, 30, okay? So counting by 2s, counting by 5s, counting by 10s. And then you find the least one, the one that has common to all of them, that is the smallest. So in this case, it happens to be a 10. So what I am going to do for now that I have found my least common multiple, I am going to multiply everything by that. So I'm going to multiply by my least common multiple. So in this problem, it happens to be a 10. So I'm going to multiply everything by 10. So notice I put a 10 by every problem. So I'm going to multiply. So you can grab your calculators if you need to. And remember, if a 10's on top and a 10's on the bottom, they're going to cancel out. So we are left with 7n. So now when you take 3/2 times 10, really we can simplify this, and 2 goes into 10 5 times. And now we can multiply across the top, and 3 times 5 is 15. And the next one, 5 goes into 10 twice, so 3 times 2, that leaves us with 6n, and then the n, 2 times 10 is 20. Now remember, you can just grab your calculator and take 7/10 times 10, and you're going to get 7n. Okay, so if you needed to use your calculator, that's fine. Now look, you guys got rid of all of your fractions and now you have nice whole numbers. So this is exactly what we've been working on for the last week or so here. So I am going to combine my like terms, and I have n's on opposite sides. So I'm going to do the opposite operation to get my n's together. So 7n minus 6n is 1n. And yeah, you're right. We probably wouldn't write that 1 there. 1n is just the same thing as n. So now I'm going to subtract 15. So now instead of writing 1n, I'm just going to write n equals, and 20 minus 15 is 5. Okay, so this whole lesson, we're going to work on getting rid of the fractions and then just solving for n. All right, so first we want to look at all the numbers in the bottom, the denominator. We've got a 6, a 2, and a 4. So if we start counting in multiples, we go 6, 12, 18, 24, 30. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 4, 8, 12. Well, if you look at that, we've got a 12, a 12, and a 12. So the least common multiple is 12. So I'm going to multiply everything by 12. All right, so 5, 6 times 12, you can go ahead and use your calculator. So 6 goes into 12 2 times. So 5 times 2, we have a 10, and we still have our y. 1 times 12 is 12. 1/2 of 12 is going to be 6, and don't forget that negative sign, so it's negative 1/2 of 12. And 1/4 of 12, 4 goes into 12 3 times. All right, so now we need to get our letters together here. So I am going to add 6y to both sides. So we get 16y plus 12 equals 3. Subtract 12 from both sides. And what do we have here? 16y equals 3 minus 12. Looks like that's a negative 9. Now we're going to divide both sides by 16. That looks like it's not going to be a very nice fraction. So we literally just have minus 9 over 16. That does not simplify at all. All right, so negative 9/16 is our answer. All right, so now in your math book, you probably have this problem, but that's okay. We're just taking notes. So what number do we have on the bottom here? Well, we only have a 7, so the least common multiple is 7. So I'm going to multiply everything by 7. 1/7 of 7, these 7's cancel, so I end up with just k minus 42. These 7's cancel, and we end up with just the 3 on top, so we have a 3k plus 28. All right, now I want to get my k's together. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to subtract k from both sides. So negative 42. 3k minus k is 2k. All right, now what numbers do we have by k? And we've got a 2 and a 28, so I'm going to subtract 28 from both sides. So what's that? 40, 50, 60, 70. So negative 70 equals 2k. Now we're going to divide both sides by 2. And it looks like k is going to be equal to negative 35. All right, I just want to mention before we go on, if I just recopy this exact problem up here and show you, this is super confusing for some kids, and some kids like it. If you don't like it and you want to just use your calculator and do the math, that would be fine. So here we're going to get our k's together. So we're going to subtract 1/7 k. So we're going to have negative 6 equals, and 3/7 minus 1/7. Remember, you can just do that on your calculator. So now we're going to subtract 4 from both sides. So we get negative 10 equals 2 over 7k. So now we have to multiply by the reciprocal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides by 7 over 2. Okay, because I want the 2's cancel and the 7's cancel, and you're left with just k. So now when we multiply across the top, we get negative 70 over 2. And what is negative 7d divided by 2? We get negative 35. And that's exactly what we got the other way. So if you do not want to get rid of your fractions and you just want to use your calculator, you can go ahead and try it that way. All right, so we're also going to work about getting rid of decimals. So how do we get rid of these decimals? And we're going to multiply by factors of 10. So if it's 2.3, we only have one place to move that decimal, so we multiply by 10. When it's 0.62, we have to move that decimal 2 places, so we multiply by 100. In this case, we have to go to the 3, to the 7, to the 2, so we have to multiply by 1,000 to do that. So hopefully you understand that pattern. All right, let's try a problem here. Logan has 2 aquariums. One aquarium contains 1.3 cubic feet of water, and the other one has 1.9. The water in the larger aquarium weighs 37.44 pounds more than the water in the smaller one. So let's do, one has 1.3 cubic feet and the other one is 1.9. Now, let's think about that. Are those equal? They're not equal, and we know they're not equal. So what happens here is you have to add this 37.44 pounds to one side. So you're going to add it to the 1.9 to be equal, or the 1.3. Does the 1.9 already weigh more? Yes, so we're going to add it to the 1.3. Now they're going to be the same. Okay, so this represents the water in the 2 aquariums. So now we need to combine like terms. So what we just said is we've got 0.3, so I can multiply by 10. I only need to move this decimal one place, so I'm going to multiply by 10, multiply by 10, multiply by 10. That way I get 13x plus 374.4 equals 19x. Well, to really get rid of all of the decimals, shouldn't I multiply by 100 because I still have a decimal? So if I multiply everything by 100, this is now 130x, and now I can get rid of this decimal, and this one would be 190x. All right, so I'm going to subtract 130x from both sides. So I end up with 3,744 equals, and 190 minus 130 is 60. And now I'm going to divide both sides by 60. So grab that calculator. 3,744 divided by 60 is 62.4. Again, some people don't like to get rid of their decimals and multiply by 100, so they're just going to solve it from the red and subtract 1.3 from both sides and then divide it out. All right, we have one last one. Oh, we're not going to actually do the last one. So try practicing this technique today, but you are struggling. You can just use the decimals and fractions with your calculators. I want you to be able to solve and get the correct answer. So if this is more confusing, that's fine. I just wanted to go through it and show you that technique. So good luck on your homework assignment for today.